today we're going to be cutting out all the frames for our faux cathedral window, which we're then going to hook up to our lightning detector. I'm Rachel DeBarros, and thanks for watching Gearhead Diva. So I see quite a few of you guys are coming on board. Of course, we have our early arrival. It's always David Beck, and he's saying it's sprinkling out here, but not enough for me to do some storm spotting. Yes, well, you should have been here yesterday because I heard thunder late at night, so I'm running down to the garage to try and hook up the lightning detector really quick, but it rolled over too quick. I got one lightning strike and that was it. It was 20 kilometers away, so not quite close enough to wake up a creation up in here. And he's in North Texas, so yeah, so thankfully no storms for you just yet, but they are coming because it's springtime. So we've been getting a lot of rain, hence why this project got moved to today, because I like doing all my cutting outside. I've tried cutting in here. I need to put a dust collection system. I tried to think about, well, maybe I can build one myself and put it all up in the ceiling because I have no floor space left, which I'm still debating as to whether this project is a good idea, because I'm thinking of putting this Franken wall display, which includes this and various other components like Jacob's ladder, either back here, we're gonna have to clear this out, to make room, or the wall is the same. It kind of continues towards the house door over there, and then maybe putting it over there. So I haven't decided yet, but it's definitely gonna go on this wall, eat up some space, which means less space for scrap. And as always, today's objective is to try and use as much stuff that I already have in the shop to try and get this done. So I'm going to give you a look-see at what I have going on here, because I kind of drew out what I think my cathedral window is going to look like. So here we have it. I'm going to move things out of the way. Workshop table is way too small for this. And there we go. So I think I have about a 2 1/4 inch border that goes around. Now I thought 36-inch length height, and then for our width, I'm thinking about 22 inches. You know what? I have no idea how many inches this is. Where is my leveler? Well, it decided to go away. So it's enough of this project, but I think that by the time all is said and done, this inner portion right here is about 15.5 in width. And I have a reason for that. And that's because I'm trying to think of what to do for glass for this. I can go out and buy a big sheet of plexi or acrylic glass and kind of cut it. So that's one way to do it. And the other way to do it is just to use up stuff in the shop. And I have a ton of really old, kind of ornate picture frames from my childhood when my dad moved back to Brazil. All these boxes started showing up at my house of old children's stuff. He was like, I don't want it, but I don't want to throw away, so you deal with it. So it had old children's pictures and things in these really cool ornate frames, and I took them all apart, stored the pictures, and I have these really cool, because the glass is old, it's actually kind of it's got stains on it. It's got some natural opacity issues going on. So I thought that might be kind of cool for this, but it is real glass, because that's, how it was back then. It was real glass in picture frames. So I'm still debating. So put your suggestions below if I should use these. They're 8x10s and 11x16s, so we should be able to bridge the gap here. So the first thing I'm going to do is head on outside, and we're going to start cutting this arch frame out. And in order to get this curve right here perfectly nice, this is something I actually learned by watching a YouTube video, a real cathedral window maker, and let me give you guys a much better view here, and there we go. Now, this mock-up is already kind of not right, because this bar here is way too high. It needs to go a little bit lower, because see how it jacks up the width here? It's gets way skinnier, and then here it's way fatter. So yes, I already goofed right from the get-go, which says a lot for how this project is gonna go. But anyways, this bar would move down, and then this would look a little bit more even. But one of the things I learned is that all you do to get kind of that perfect arch, you mark your height where you want it to go, take a piece of string, and let's see if I can find the end of it, And I'm actually gonna grab this real pencil and see where I have these arrows. This is kind of like where I calculated. You hold one piece of the string here, and basically it's a little trial and error, and all you do is trace it on up and see how it meets that point. And you know, I kind of went around, oh, that doesn't meet it, that's too short, and then you just, you know, do that way. Now on a real piece of wood, you can nail one side of your string and then tie your pen to the other and then do it that way. And that's how I did it for this. And then vice versa, you do the other side and it perfectly matches up. And that's how you get like that perfect archway. And I watched this from a guy that actually does cathedral windows for a living on YouTube. It was fascinating. It's quite complex, but that part of it was easy. And so if we take a look here at the arch, I basically kind of used that same technique. And just, you can see a lot of my test lines going over here of where to start the arch. So I guess the goal for me is to cut this out. It's probably gonna look a little bit jaggedy, but we're gonna sand it smooth in the end. So I'm not too worried about that. And I'm gonna freehand this. Yeah, I'm gonna be using a jigsaw outside, and this is our first indoor-outdoor stream. So we're gonna see how this goes, and I already noticed as the sun hits the table, it blows out the webcam. So I keep having to move the table into the shade so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So I think the best way to do this is, originally I was gonna have the garage door here open so I can just go in and out, but they're mowing the lawn, which is super loud. So I think what I'm gonna do is teleport you guys out there first, and then I'm gonna go around the front of the house and meet you there. So I'll be right there. And holy blowout, I'm gonna have to move the table into the shade a little bit more before I get started, but I'm gonna bring all this stuff out and figure that out when I'm out there. So yes, because I'm out there and the mic is in here, you guys will also probably not hear me too much. So I will reserve my commentary for when I get back, and I'll be right back. got done. There were a couple scary moments there. My jigsaw, right where the button is, where you push, is where the speed dial is too. So as you're working, you're adjusting that speed the whole time. And also having to blow all that dust away so I can actually see what lines I'm cutting. All right, so don't forget your level. I know, as soon as I saw it out there, I was like, that's where I had put it. Oh my gosh. And then Kareth is back. Hello, Miss Gearhead Diva. And Kareth did mention, yes, no mic will continue being Genius SR. You are, yes. All right, so yes, so all ready for our indoor-outdoor shoots. I'm beginning to get a couple of ideas to make it better. In that there's got to be a way. Well, normally I could do this with the garage door open and flip the mic in and out so we can actually hear and talk to each other, and I can see the comments, because when I'm outside I can't see any of that, you know. And usually I depend on you guys to you know, keep me steered clear. But it kind of sounds like the mowing guys are kind of moving on, so I might try and open the garage door so at least like this can catch a little bit of what I'm saying, or at least I can come up to the mic and talk to you guys. But anyways, it was rather uneventful, and you guys can see here, let me give you a much better view and back it on up. Come on now, it's a little too close. So here is our inside, which I'm going to put aside for now. Breathed in some dust there. And this is our archway, and I'm going to make myself disappear here for a sec so we can see. And it's mostly gone okay. We can see that this side, it's a little bit skinnier than this chunk side here. So we're going to take the sander and kind of move, get rid of some of this. And you can see here a couple different lines going on. And as I was cutting, I was like, uh-oh, am I following the right line? And I guess not, you know, for this. So I can actually probably, this is probably too fat, but I can go with another pass with the jigsaw, but I think I'm gonna knock this down real quick with the sander. And all in all, it looks pretty even, you know, maybe a couple, like, see, it got a little thin over here too, right here, in comparison to here, it's more chunkified. So it looks like this is way more even, this side right here, than this side. This side's got some issues going on, which is totally fixable with the sander. And I'm using a 3/4 inch regular plywood. So this is not the pretty hardwood plywood with the beautiful stainable edges. This is just the stuff that you like bond and paint, you know, fill and paint. And the idea behind that is that I've already done way too much staining, like way too much. And I'm kind of bored of it. So I have my entire wraparound unit here that was stained. We did some cool metal effects, and I want to move on to something else. And I think what I'm going to do is create a cool stone effect for this, using, you know, a couple tricks. I've never done a stone effect before, so we're going to just kind of like experiment with that. And for this, I thought it would be cool. I have some, ooh, it's all going crazy here. I have some trim, and this is PVC trim because it bends. Oh yeah. Now you can bend wood trim. I've done it before by leaving it in the bathtub overnight, you know, for 24 hours, and then you find that you can bend it a little bit more, or you can cut very thin pieces of plywood, glue them together, and bend them that way. But when you're working with trim, you know, you can definitely do the water method, the steam method, but if you can get your hands on PVC trim, it's already wobbly, you know? So I thought it would be pretty cool for us to do some kind of cool trim that will help this look like stone. So, you know, something like that. This is just like a quarter molding here that we can put on the edge. I thought that would look pretty cool. And then I got, oh, this is way too long. Way too long. We're gonna cut that down. And then I got this cool outer corner thing right here. And I'll give you guys a better look if I can maneuver it. But you can see it's just like a triangle. And if you look at the old cathedrals, we're not gonna make this super ornate, but the old cathedrals, they always have kind of a risen type of area like that. And so I thought that would, in combination with the quarter molding over here, something like this will make it look pretty cool. Now the only difference here, and I'll give you a better look at this tip right here, is that most of the time when you bend molding, you bend it, you know, in this direction, but not horizontally, longitudinally, you know. Anyways, we're gonna have to bend this somehow. Rather than like this where it bends super easy, we're gonna have to bend it instead like this. Not so easy, but I think a little bit of heat gun action is gonna really negotiate this really well. You know, he's not gonna have much argument after I slap him with a heat gun. So we're gonna get to that, and before I do, I'm gonna go outside and continue dusting myself. You see, I'm wearing a fine dust, which means no audio, but I don't hear the grass cutting, guys. So what I'm gonna do is open this garage door, and it's gonna be super loud. So I would probably turn your volume down and then kind of inch it back up again once the garage door is open. Let's see. I'm just catching up on all the comments. Okay, I think I'm caught up. And, oh, you need a wireless microphone, says Frozen Mustache. That's a good idea. I used to have them, but the problem is as soon as you bend over or pick things up, I've had them disconnect and you're like, blah, 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 and you don't even realize it's disconnected. But that's a good idea, too. Perhaps I can do a 2-mic system where it's 1 mic for inside and 1 mic for outside. So, on our first indoor-outdoor live stream, I'm learning quite a lot. So let me try and open up this garage door over here. It's going to get real loud, so down on that volume. The garage door is open. You can see that, you know, light hitting me there. Otherwise, this is a windowless garage, which will be kind of cool to have like a little fake window. And where I'm going with this is that I think I want to make it a shadow box. I think we can make a very thin shadow box where we can put our lightning scene in the back and have this, you know, kind of be the front of it. But we're going to figure all that out later. First things first, I'm going to be sanding. And I'm going to see if I can flip this mic over here for you guys to hear me. And even move it. So it's about to get loud in here again. So watch your volume. Oop, and then hit the garage door. All right. So the mic is not going to be too close to me, but it shouldn't be too far away either. And I have everything that I need. And I'm going to teleport you guys back there. And holy light, Batman! Let's see if I can move that table. Make it any better. That did not make it any better. Let's see if I can find some shade up in here for you guys. There is no and this has got, I believe, maybe 80 grit on it, maybe 100 grit on it. And I need a hammer with a much better contrast. Dice. Let me see if I can get this looking a little bit better. This is pretty bad. this looks like it's the best it's gonna get. So we're going to have to live with that for this stream. But then I will have a better setup for next time. Alrighty. There we go. let me get the mic situation settled, so might be a little loud. All right, I'm just going to close the door because I think we're done out there, at least for now, because the lawnmower man is coming back again. All right. Closing the door. Something's scraping with that door. I gotta check it out. But yes, the camera in the sunlight situation isn't good. And David Beck is saying pop-up overhead cover for next time. Yes. That's actually a pretty good idea because I can put it right outside the garage, and early in the morning we get nothing but shade, out here, and then as the day progresses that sunlight starts to creep up right up to the door. So I should probably put an awning that just, and then we can work under the awning. So all good ideas, and then the mic we can just swing around. Hopefully it was a little more audible that time, although there was a lot of the whole time, so not much to hear. But let's see what we have now that I went ahead and got things a little bit more smoothed out. See, so now these two, listen, they're not perfect. I ain't going for perfection, but they're a little more sized, I was going to say equirectangular, but that's not right. So they're even in terms of width, and then as you go down, things are a little more even. I took out a lot of just kind of the weird jagged edges that got left with the jigsaw, and then got this nice and sharp. So all in all, I think we are ready to go. The only thing I'm trying to decide is which side to use. Now again, imperfections aren't that bad because we are going to be painting and perhaps using a little spackle and putty, but this side doesn't seem to have any knots. So I think I'm going to make this side my front, minus this sticker right here, which I probably should have taken off earlier. And now it's like sanded into the wood because I just put the sander right over it, Equidistant, David Beck. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Equidistant. Excellent. See, that's why I have you guys here. All right, well, enough of, I don't think this is really going to matter by the time we're all set and good. So now let's try and get some of the molding up in here and make it look like an actual cathedral window, Let's see. It's spelled correctly. Listen, that looks pretty correct enough to me. Equidistant, the way you spelled it, I'll take it. So the first thing we're going to do is I just noticed something, guys. Let's see here if I can grab these. Guys, let me show you. I goofed. But we're going to make it work. So here you can see I have two quarter moldings, but one is bigger than the other. Look at that. Like this little guy right here is much smaller than this guy, and I literally just like grabbed them from the rack and went and paid for them, and didn't even look very, very carefully. So hopefully that's not the case. No, those two seem the same. So I think in this case, what if we do something like this? I'm gonna get rid of myself here for a second. Let's see, can I maybe, I'm gonna do this without killing you guys. Hold on. I missed the camera. Ooh, go below the camera. There we go. All right. So I'm going to put this molding, I'm just putting it away behind me. There we go. So would it be interesting perhaps to put this guy kind of maybe like this, all the way around the edge? Maybe I'll start with him, because all we have to do is make it go flush around the edge. So that should be easy enough. And I think my strategy here is to glue it down and bend with a heat gun when we have to make this arch. I mean, it almost makes it by itself. We're almost there, so it shouldn't take too much muscle to get this going. So I think we'll start there, and then we'll worry about that middle piece after we have this one situated. And because we have that larger quarter round, is there something I could do with it? And I'm just maneuvering it around all the gear. All right. So could I maybe put it like that? So we have like a nice little round, round edge, a little sealer right there. I think that'll be pretty good. I don't know. It might be a fortuitous mistake, actually, as many of them are in here. So I'm just going to maneuver this back around behind me. Missed you guys. Almost got you. I'll put this guy over there. And we'll start with this. Now let me prep my heat gun and my staple. And I'm going to grab my glue, which is over there behind you guys. So 1 second. Grabbing glue. Up on the shelf. All right. Now, in typical fashion, I have actually never done this. So this is kind of my strategy. If you guys have a better idea, then please do chime in, because I am all ears. Let me grab a, let's see, do I have a pliers here? I don't. So I'm going to grab some pliers, like, again, right behind you guys. And try and miss your head. Tight. Is it gonna light today? I am not sure what you mean. Is it going to light today? Is it going to be lightning maybe today? No, we actually have a nice day, which is why I wanted to do this project. I'm like, let me get this one out of the way, all that sanding and stuff outside. So theoretically, I should probably get all this crap off the table, right? Because we're going to have to swing a very large piece of molding. Here is our heat gun. And let me hook up the staple gun, or the brad nailer, and see what I got going on inside this brad nailer. And I still have some brad nails. Okay. So the thing with these brad nails now, they're 1.25 inches long. So wherever I staple, it'll probably go through the table. So I'm thinking I'll still use them and cover everything up with some putty. And then on the back side, I can either bend the brad nails or just snip off the excess. All right, let me think about the best way to do this. And in a way that you guys can also see. Get rid of this string. Let me get rid of all these pencils and all kinds of stuff everywhere, as a shop should be. If you don't trip over stuff, then you ain't doing enough projects, right? I always say. All right, so again, I have never done this. So any ideas you have, I am perfectly open to. So let's start by doing the straight edge, right? I'm going to do the easy stuff first. And let me see which view is better. Oh, that's not bad too. That's probably better for you guys. And I'm going to start by just putting a bead of glue along the edge. And I am totally not worried about over gluing or glue spillage or anything like that, because I'm going to try and do a stone effect on top. And we're probably going to just filler and seal this a little bit, so that way, you know, it's pretty smooth anyway. So I'm not too worried about excess glue. So let me try and get this going. And you know what? I probably should have brought the clamps in from outside. And that is going to go about there. But I could probably start tacking some of this down with the nailer. So let me see if I can move this into a position where I can use the nail or brad nailer and not hit the table. So it'll just kind of go on the outside of the table right here. And now you guys can't see anything. So we'll do that. And I'll bring you over here and at least start tacking some of this. So this is gonna go right through the piece, so that means I probably shouldn't have my hand anywhere in this general vicinity, right? Let me bring this guy closer, because I have one of these little cheapy hose. And let's see if I can kind of rest you over here without falling and get you on here. It's got some gunk on it already. All right. So I'm going to get a couple ones in, and then I'm going to, actually I'm already doing it wrong. It's supposed to go in like this. Let me just wipe that. It's supposed to go in like that. Especially if we want to try and use our other thing. There we go. I'm trying to give myself a better angle. And I should probably trim this because I'm doing it the most complex way possible. Because that's what Rachel's do. It's like, how can we complicate this? All right, I got it pretty good there, and I'm going to give it a nailer. Turn that on. We need air. It is not working. What is wrong with you? Everyone's asleep on the job today, I swear. Alright, I think we got enough nails. Flip you over. There we go. For whatever reason, the tools are asleep on the job today. And let's try again. Actually, I'm going to put some fresh glue. My glue's kind of getting a little too tacky. Or a little too thinned out, I should say. And there we go. And I'm just hovering this over the edge so that way the brad nail can just go right on through. without too much issue. I'm just going to move this towards me and continue tacking along until we get to this weird bend that we're going to have to try and figure out. I'll need you, speed square, and get rid of you. All right. You went in kind of sideways. There we go. I'll have to pull that guy out at some point, but we'll keep moving. And so far this is working mostly okay. I will have to do some trimming, and I'm going to turn the compressor back on, so it's about to get really, really loud. Alright, now this is where it starts to get complicated. So let me see what I can do. And I think what I'm also going to do to make my life 10 times easier is grab my clamps from the outside, although I have these two little dudes right here, these little twins. Maybe we can work with them for now. And I do have the butt-kicking machine over there, which the trim is like totally hitting. But I'm afraid to cut the trim because this so happens. I got haunted tools up in here. And I got glue on myself. So I'm afraid to cut the trim because this is the only size quarter round that I have. The other one is a completely different size. I should have enough though to do this. So let me plug in the heat gun. There we go. And see if this works. See if this theory works. Let's see. Nope. Let you relax there for a little bit. I unplugged it because it is close to my feet, and knowing me, I will probably step on it. So if it's unplugged, a little safer there. All right. It works. I think it works. The glue doesn't like it very much, but Yeah, look at that, guys. That is pretty on the money. Let me see if I can throw a clamp on this side by flipping it like this. This is so awkward. Probably one of the most awkward builds I've done, where it's like the project is small, but it still just doesn't fit on the table. And I think I need a little more heat over here. Oh. All right. Yes, that is definitely the way to go. Now, let's see if I can indeed reheat over here. Well, might as well heat the whole length. It's almost like a disco dance where you can just go, but with the heat gun. All right, let's see what we got. And if I can grab one of those little, oh, that's pretty nice right there. Little clamp. I'm gonna slide this on over and get this mostly down. Open up. I get it mostly in place. All right. That's looking pretty good. And let's see if we get a better view. If I move this, actually the clamp idea didn't work out all that well. I'm going to prep the nail gun again and just heat this. Goes the light. There we go. We're just bending it in an awkward horizontal versus, you know, the way you normally bend to get around this arch. And I may actually be able to just clamp this down using my chin to open the clamp, which did not work too well. There we go. At the end of the table here, this little piece of trim. While, oh, that's pretty good. While I prep our nail gun. There we go. Got a cluster of wires going on over here. Get that plugged in. Like all up in your view right now. Sorry about that. All right. I think I got one more. All right, so we have a whole side done. I think I got my groove on how to get this done. Little heat gun and some brad nails. The glue got a little bit cooked, but you know, who doesn't like some cooked glue? So let me trim this, I think, now where we want it, and we will continue the other side. Let me grab my little saw here. It's hiding. I got all kinds of wonders going on underneath the workbench here. So let's see if we can cut this probably straight. So that way the other side will be like mitered, you know, to this side. So I think, David Beck, you need more arms and hands. Heck yeah, I do. I need, like, you know, the Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man, or what was his name? It's the octopus dude. I need to be more like him. Or I need to, like, teleport one of you guys over here to help out. Because you all have such good suggestions. Alright. And any weirdness, we're just going to, you know, use some sealer on. So I'm going to do the same thing and maybe start here. I don't know why I'm starting with the hardest part, but just to make sure that these guys butt up pretty well together, and then continue my way down here. So let's see. And now, theoretically, it should be more manageable because it's a smaller piece now, because that was a bit much. And let's see if they kind of go together over here. Let's see if this cut was a good idea. Wait a minute. Yeah, he goes like, oh. Ah, yes. So I'll probably have to, because now this is flipped over for this side, because it doesn't go like that. It would go like this. So yes, that is not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and get this kind of how we need to, and then I will miter that side. Although it almost looks like a 45, I kind of feel like going for it and see what happens. But I think we can just start here, get as far as we can, and then trim it. But before I do, I'm very curious, because it's not exactly a 45, but let's see, if I were to overlap, just kind of, I'm going to guesstimate an angle here. We can always start a little bit like this, see what happens. Let me give you I want to give you a close-up of this absolute fail that's about to happen right here, so that way we all witness it together and be like, what did you do? And I probably need to put this in a vise. All right, how much of a fail is this? Let's back on out and see. Ooh, a little more angle, guys. A little more angle. And something like that. We're getting closer. We are getting closer. So yes, it needs to just be sharper. It's got too much fat on it. Should probably bust out the miter saw for this, make our lives a ton easier. But that is getting pretty darn close. So, just a tiny hair more, like literally a hair more. Whoop, let me cut it where you guys can see this attempt that I'm making. And it keeps shifting. It keeps shifting. Stay right there. Reverse miter, yes. Reverse miter. David Beck is right. Okay, I think that's good to start with, and we can use a little bit, and you guys can't see anything. Look at that. This is terrible. So I think this is pretty good to start with, and then we can just use a little bit of putty, you know, to build out the rest of it. So to start, I'm gonna start heating the bejesus out of this. And I'm gonna turn this towards me so I can hit it with the nail gun, which is actually not going through because this guy's pretty tall. So it only goes through a tiny, tiny bit. Heating it. I'm not even sure we'll need the other molding. This is already looking pretty good. Already looking pretty good. Ooh, look at that bend. That really bent. Oh, look, and it stays. Nice. Had I heated it up much more the other side, this is what would have happened. Made our lives a ton easier. All right, I'm gonna fire on the compressor so it's gonna get a little loud. Jumping sides. I overbent. Gotta unbend some of this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this excess off here. But if you take a close look before we do that, all these I think will be disguisable once we put our stone effect on. And if I flip this a little bit, let's see if it focuses, you can see some of the nails. If you're not hitting the gun square perpendicular, it slides. Also, just the surface is slippery, so it's tough to get them. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim these guys off and make sure I have enough going through to hold the piece together. And we have a little bit of, let me just back it a little bit. A little bit of gappage here. You see where it just kind of started to twist from the heat gun. So the heat gun does deform it a little bit, but for our purposes, I think it did a pretty good job of getting it to sit pretty tight. And you can see we can just use a little bit of filler along this gap right here, and I think we should be good. So we have our first molding done, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of trim this excess big old long piece right here. And then the top corner, I think we'll be able to fill that up nicely. And David was right, I was doing the wrong way miter. I had to do a reverse miter to get that to join up. So I think we're about here. And I'll flip it over. And just get that little, oh, where are you guys? Oh, there we are. That little remnant off right here. And that should be good. I haven't decided yet what I'm doing for this bottom part right here. What kind of decor. I thought it'd be maybe cool to put indicator lights from 1 to 40 kilometers, and you know, however far away that the lightning is, the little lights light up. So I'm kind of leaving this section here blank until I figure it out. But for now, we have kind of a nice thing where I think once we get our stone effect, it's going to be quite deceiving for it. So let me grab some wire cutters just to start snipping some of these mistakes I have going on off of here. And then let's see if we can move on to either this guy. This guy I think is going to be super challenging. I'm kind of liking the way this looks just as is. I bought these because I didn't really know if I was going to like it or not, or how decorative I wanted this to be. But I think when we get our stone effect on this, I think it's going to look pretty darn good. So this can go kind of along the edge here, and let me give you guys, move myself here, along the edge here, and that might look kind of interesting, just to kind of give it a raised edge. So I don't know. I know this is going to be a bit of a challenge, but we can try it. Listen, we can always rip it off if we don't like it, right? So same thing, it's going to start off super awkward because of the length of this thing is like super long. But once we start tacking it down and we get to our edge over there, our little cathedral corner, then it starts to get much easier. And I think I will wait to cut all of this business off at one time. So I'm gonna have to be a little careful just grabbing, making sure I don't snag myself. I already did snag myself a little bit here, but you know how it is. If the project doesn't bite you, then it's not a worthy adversary. So the project has bitten me. So I have met my match. So let's see who wins by the end of this stream. And the goal is to get this part of the frame done and start putting on our stone effect. So that way it dries overnight. I can get a coat of a base coat on here, and then we can start painting our very cool stone effect on it. And then the other pieces, it's basically cutting out the same shape over and over again to build our shadow box shape. So let me start by just kind of nailing this guy down in place, and then we can start bending him with our heat gun technology there. And there we go. I think I'm kind of running out of staples, but yes, it's very slippery. So one of the things I've learned is that the nail gun or staple gun, this has happened to be both, slips around a little bit. So let's see if we can get them tacked in place. Actually, a little glue goes a long way. Just on the edge here. And I'm just going to use my finger to kind of flatten it out. Like that. And get him lined up. So here we go. Famous last words. Last time to be able to back out of this project. All right, that's on there. Not gonna complain. Probably should turn it on. It's gonna get real loud. Now we got the heat gun. Let's see if we can curve this around, and this time learn to do the reverse miter, like the haunted compressor. Oh, that's freaky. It just turns itself on. Maybe it's because we're building this Frankenstein thing. And it's already, the creature is like talking to all of the tools from beyond. But actually, you guys have your own selves to blame for this mess. I was just gonna hook the lightning detector up to a little LCD screen. And then one of you, I think it was even David, that said, you're gonna display all that information on that little screen? And it got me thinking. I was like, I think he's right. It's gonna be kind of lame. How am I gonna see all that information from all the way across the shop? Besides, a digital screen is not very old-timey Frankenstein-y. So I think that was probably a good move to do something like this. And secretly, I've always kind of wanted to try this. Stuff everywhere. And I have the mic stand right where I gotta bend this. So let me see if I can get it past. There we go. If you guys hear stuff falling or the mic just stopped working, that is, that's what happened. It just knocked it down. All right. All right, I'm gonna need a little more heat. David has a whole bunch of ghosts. You are so right. This project is haunted. Especially that compressor. Maybe it's a message. It's like you're gonna need way more nails than that to hold this thing together. Get that nice and hot, because this bend is going to be tough. And I can already see it's like thinner on top than it is on the bottom. So that either is going to look really bad or it's going to look kind of stylistically artistic. We'll see. We're going to hope it looks good. I can't tell you how many of my mistakes. Whoa. That bent a little too well there. And I got to avoid some more equipment. I was worried about this bend here because it's a little bit awkward with such a fat piece. see if I can give you guys a much better view. Whoop, I'm right in the way as usual. I'm always in the way of my own self. Constant. Let me grab this useless clamp that didn't help us out at all. And I'm going to put them over here. All right. This is looking like a good little Frankenstein window. So people can peep in and see all the crazy creations that we're doing. And I'm already gonna have to cut this because it's I'll show you guys right here. It's already banging, so I can't, like, this raised edge won't allow me to sit it flush. So I'm gonna take a wild guess as to how this is going to be. So if we're kind of like this, you know, maybe this length right here, guys. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. Here we go. Please don't be too short. Please don't be too short. And that is a gnarly cut. That's gonna look pretty bad. All right, let me reheat. And there we go. Needs a little more. Now, one of the things I've already learned is that heating PVC, it does deform a little bit on you, so you have to work kind of gently. I already see a spot where I He-manned it a little bit too much, so it's a little bent in. There's definitely deformation there, but I think our stone effect will hide it. That's basically the motto. It's like, oh, you screwed up, don't worry. The stone effect will definitely hide it. All right, and I think I'm going to have to cut this further because look at that. It is jacking up. Well, let me get a couple tacks there. So yeah, this I will have to, and we're going to have to heat it more. Let me move it this way. I'm going to have to definitely heat it more to make this bend. It is just not making this bend. And I don't know, maybe something like this. I'm probably mitering this the wrong way. And I love how I'm cutting it right on top of the other trim just to like super butcher it. All right. At least that cut is cleaner. Let me give this a good heating. Good heating. Ooh, that's getting hot. Let's see while it's still warm. See how this kind of crunches in a little bit? That's part of the deal. Oh no! A little bit more, guys. Look at that. Oh, I have it in place, guys. I can kind of like do it now. It's kind of like this, right? And let me move you out of the way. And try not to butcher the other, at least if I get it started, I can then lift it and kind of do it in the air. Or not. Talk the big game. There we go. Hurry. Well, it's still kind of warm. Whoop. Needs a little more heat because now it's like awkwardly bent. A little more heat. All right. Now we're, ooh, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot. Hurry up. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, ow. All right. So, I'm going to give you guys a closer look to see what I mean. Whoop. Move this around to where you can see it. So if you look along here, you can see that it kind of squished here because of all the heat. It starts to squish up pretty well. So yeah, it does deform. And then I'm going to back this on up for you guys to see this right here. So you can see where it just took a bend and it got crunched inward. because of the heat. So I'm wondering if I heat it, if I can pull that out a little bit. Not easily. Well, that was a fail. But this is looking pretty good. And I think we can also use some spackle or filler, spackle, whatever, to try and get it going. But we have a whole side done. For the most part, there's a couple, you know, weirdnesses where it's, you know, a little fat over here, a little less fat over here. But for our first PVC bending and all that kind of stuff, it's turning out pretty well. And I think once we put all of the paint effects on it, it's, you know, the stuff inside, which is our lightning scene, I don't think it's going to be hugely noticeable. Or we can sit, you know, you can always make it perfect, really sit out there, sand it, and to perfection. For me, I'd rather do a cool project and move along to the next cool thing. All the imperfections only add a steampunk character. I think he wrote steam puke character. So yes, the project could look rather pukey right now, but in the end it'll look steampunk, you know, with all just the imperfections of the time. And we just have one more to go, and then we can start adding our cool stone effect. So where did that piece go? Oh, it's right in my face. So same thing, I'm gonna start on here, and then we'll start heating it as we need it. And I'm just gonna start off our little simple bead of glue here, just to get things started. I got glue on everything, my shirt, my hair. That's when you know you're doing a good project. And I'm going to, I wonder if this end will match up with this end. I have to reverse miter it. So like this, and maybe we can match that end up. So let me show you guys the, there we go. The hot mess that we're about to do. So I think we have to reverse miter. So it's gotta go this way. This way. And let me, yeah, I think it's, and there goes the heat gun. There goes the heat gun. And I'll get this started. There we go. And let me just make one adjustment. I'm gonna put you guys on a quick intermission, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I thought there was somebody at the door, but there was not. No love for me. So where were we? I was horribly butchering this. So yeah, let me continue horribly butchering this thing. Trying to reverse miter it the way David had suggested. There we go. Getting this thing started also without a vise is great. I mean, why not? There we go. Hopefully that's mitered enough. And then Frozen Mustache is saying it will be great in the end. Yeah, that's what we're going for. If the end result is great. So, that's almost mitered enough. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is almost. So I think I'm going to go for it, and we will just kind of, fix it. Fix it as we go. So I think the easiest thing... It'd be horrible to start in this corner already, but in typical Rachel fashion, I think I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, we're gonna start with this horrible corner. Let me grab my heat gun and move myself. Get this thing going. There we go. Steam puke is a new thing when zombies attack, says David. Yes! Bleh, right on you. Listen, I've had that reaction to some of my projects. You know, once you're done, you look at it and you're like, bleh. But you're hoping it's an acid puke, so that way it destroys the project, so it's like it never happened. Just disintegrates it and eliminates all the evidence. All right, I don't want to go too crazy because I already learned my lesson. Going too crazy with this thing. All right. I'm going to hit the wall, or maybe I can just bring this up a little bit. And, oh, that wasn't enough, or it cooled down way too fast. I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely a two-person. It would really help to have a second person, I'm not gonna lie, just because of the awkwardness of everything. And I guess I crunched that in pretty good. Let me try and open it up, especially trying to be all like, oh, I over mitered that. Oh well, we'll fill it, it's still salvageable. Oh, that really deforms. This was not the side to start on. But I'm committed. Look at that hideous gap, guys. Oh my gosh, that is like, I'm going to give you guys a better look at this hideousness right here. Yeah, I needed a much bigger, this probably is over mitered. You know, it should have been like more straight up, and this is under mitered. So we just, we got both types of fails going on in that corner, but I think I can fix it with some filler. We'll see. I'm going without glue for now, and this is not a staple gun. It is clearly not a staple gun. Where is it? Our brad nailer. All right. Things are going super well. All right. All right, getting that first one in. That's the toughest one. Then we can move along. All right, let's, I'm using like hips, stomach, everything to hold this stuff together. Get our little bend here. This is going to be kind of a tough bend. Let me back out for you guys to see that a little bit better. Ooh. Just when it's like hot to the touch like that, that's when you know time to start bending. A little bit more. I lied. Nice. There we go. I don't like getting my fingers so close, but kind of got no choice here. A little bit more, and then we're almost at the straight shot. Oh my gosh, that's the most exciting part. That straight shot. All right, ooh. And put this down. All right. Oh, that's like a spaghetti. It's bending like a spaghetti. Oh, that nailer goes right through it. Once it reaches that, let's bend this just to get it up over this. Oh. Up over this other lip here, and then we should have a little bit more wiggle room. Ooh. Wanting to bend in a not so nice way over here. But you know what? It'll kind of match the other side, that imperfection. Let's see if we can bend it without jacking up the shape. A little more heat. The shape is being jacked up. A little bit more here. This is kind of our problem area curve going on. Then you gotta be quick about it. Quick about it, see? So that's the other thing I learned. Once you heat, you gotta move, which is not helpful when you got a whole bunch of stuff all over. Are we out? We might be out. Yep, we out. One moment. Some more going on over here. Let's refill. Oh, they're mowing the lawn again or something. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but I sure can. This little guy. Tricky. Did my bend get screwed up? No, it didn't. All right, so a couple things too. If it's too soft, the brad nail will go straight through and into the wood. So it's got to, you got to heat it, mold it, and then kind of let it cool a little bit before you nail it down. So that's another thing that I'm seeing. And all of the things are tangling on the things. So I'm going to put this back here, and we may not need the heat anymore. I think we might just be good nailing this whole thing down all the way to the end here. I think we are good, and I'm going to cut that longer end off, and I'll show you guys what I mean. Let me just grab all this stuff all out of here, and oh, we'll definitely be needing this, but I don't know if we'll need this. Put her away. Let's assume the girl was a girl, her. So I'm just going to cut this long bit off right here. And let me move myself, and we should be good. And I should probably do like I did last time, like learn from my mistakes and actually learn from my mistakes, people, and do it this way, which is super awkward and not at all. So I changed my mind again. I will not learn from my mistakes, and we're just gonna go ahead and do it this way. And I'm just gonna guesstimate that we're gonna cut right around there. Is looking pretty good, and then I can just take it up like this and very awkwardly cut it this way. There we go. And Frozen Mustache saying, if I could get over the board, I would come and help you. Yes, all the help I could get would be much appreciated. Yes, that project definitely was poorly planned. It was definitely a two-person job just to manage the trim. So we have our cool pieces of trim on, and I mean, mostly it looks good, right? You know, it's got some imperfections, but I think that we can fix it. And let's see, where was that other larger piece of trim? I'm kind of trimmed out. I don't know about you guys, but I was going to see how this is going to look, or if it was just going to be more hassle than what it's worth. So having something like this, that actually looks nice. Damn it, I might want to do it. Oh, I should have not done this. Let's see, is one side sharper than the other? No. So that actually looks pretty darn good. And it gives us a nice little lip. I was thinking of putting some faux stone coming out of this thing too at some point. So I think I want to go for it. And then we'll do our stone effects. And this is on the outside where it's flush. So this is much easier to bend. Look at all this convincing that I'm doing of myself for this project. So I think we can do it. I think we can. And but first things first, I gotta kind of cut this hot mess of see these guys, these fangs. I gotta cut these fangs off. So let me grab some wire cutters and I'll be back. YouTube is starting to buffer, David says. So let me take a look here. I don't see any buffering yet. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If it starts to really get bad, we might have to restart. But I don't see any buffering. Hopefully it'll like work itself out while I get my cutting stuff. All right, so I have various cutting appliances only because some of them are rather dull. And so we're going to figure out which ones those are. And I'm just going to move myself over, and I need to cut this guy here. Let's see how flush I can cut it. Ooh, let me just bend you. Oh, that's going to go flying. I got to look for those later on. And bend. Maybe, if I hold on to it, that could work too. Instead of allowing it to go flying all over the place. And then I will be walking up in here and step on it because that's just how it works. Oh, this one doesn't bend up as nicely. So we'll just have to him back. And any other little fangs. Is that a fang? Yes. Awkward cutting position. right, that one took a couple, that's like skipping rocks. That one took a couple skips before it ended up somewhere. And then I think I have only a few others left here. One is right here. Get these little fangs out of the way. Ooh, this one's where the gap is, that gap going down, so I have more room to stick some little cutters in here. Oh, that one just melted right through. And you know what? Some of these damages, though, are kind of neat. We might be able to work with them. And here I got another little fang. When projects attack. I'll put my hand, like, cup it, over. Ow. It just went right on. That was a bad idea. It just stabbed me at high velocity. All right, so I think we got all of our fangs. Here's one guy poking up right here where he didn't quite make. I'm just gonna pull him right out. Some of them didn't quite make it in and just kind of hung out. Here's another one that's just hanging out. Let me see if I can. I think I bent him to try and hide him, but like that's totally in my face. So let me see if I can pull him out. There we go. And I think that's it. The rest I think are hideable, with some effects. Yeah, we're gonna call them effects for now. And let's see if we can try and finally get this pig piece on right here, and then we can call it a day on trim and quickly add our stone effect so it dries overnight. And let me grab some glue, and this should be a little bit easier, just like the outer piece, only because we are sorry, my big old head, I gotta see. Ooh, it's a little bit much on the glue. Got a little excited there. All right, let's see the best way to position this so I don't have to acrobat over the table and then all you guys see is the big old back of my head. That's kind of boring. There's a lot more cool stuff going on here. So again, kind of an awkward, I think I'm going to try and use the table as leverage because it's hitting the shop vac, it's hitting the light, it's hitting, everything. And before I set up, let me grab the nail gun and turn on the compressor so it's going to get obnoxious again. And let me know if YouTube is still buffering, because it doesn't look like it's buffering on my end right here. So definitely post if anyone else is having YouTube issues. All right, this is already gonna go badly. Let me instead move it, which is gonna be somewhat awkward because it's gonna be hitting you guys. And I know I could just cut this, be sensible about it and cut it, but nope. We are doing Rachel complication style. As complex as we can make it. That's the way we're gonna go. Theoretically, this is the easy part. This is the easy trim to do. That's why I left it for last. That was kind of weird. Oh, we need air. Alrighty then. Alright. Let's heat it up a bit. Goes the compressor. Take our curve. That should be good. And very quickly, while it's still warm, get it to bend. Now we're definitely going to have some sealing to do, because look at that. And this is the part of the molding that kind of got bent or deformed a little bit. Deformed. There's a little bit of the nail popping out on this side, which we could trim. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. More heat. And a quick bend. All right, so we got one side done, and we're gonna come over to this side and do our cut here with the hacksaw. Our corner here. Oh, and David Beck is saying that the buffering might just be on his end because he is compiling a large chunk of code. Ooh, I'm jealous. I am so jealous. I love code. It's just relaxing. I mean, not all the time, like, especially when you got like the bugs that you have to figure out, but I like to just sit and do that. So I'm trying to find the most comfortable way of like cutting this. So I think I'm gonna have to maybe go like this. And here we go with the mitering of the reverse mitering, where no matter how I miter, it's always awkward looking. All right. You know I have to give you guys a front row view to this fail that's about to happen here. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have to go get that, but that looks maybe slightly under mitered, but you know, this is probably gonna be, if I can do something even more horrible than this, well, it's the Olympics of failed mitered corners, I think. Let me grab that piece that fell like literally right in front of you guys, so pardon me. And I am back. And in typical fashion, we're gonna start with that hideous corner, you know, because why not? And work our way down. And where was that mitered end? Right here, which is not going to match up because we have to reverse miter. And I'm stepping all over the, let me move myself. Yeah, so that needs to do the reverse. So let me kind of guesstimate a reverse, you know, maybe something like this to start. A slight miter, if you will. I mean, that's almost straight, but let's see how that works. I'm gonna bend it around my body. And I'm gonna go with that. We'll fill in that hideous, that's just as bad as that bottom one. Oh dear, like you would think I'd learned my lesson by now, you know? And miter it at the right angle, but alas, no. Let me heat this little end up. To the touch. We want it definitely like burning to the touch before we start handling it. Like when you burn your palms off, that's when it's ready to bend. And I might as well prep by turning on the compressor. Here I go with my foot. Success! Burn my palm off. There we go. Do it without knocking things over. That is hideous looking. Hold it by myself. And I'll get to that corner in a moment. the hardest part out of the way. There we go. One last cut, guys, and our trim work is done. Oh, here we go. Nice. So, some of the things that I am noticing, and I'm not gonna lie, this doesn't look really good right now. So part of me is like, is this really gonna work out? Trying to be optimistic here, but let's check out this this hideousness. So we're gonna have to definitely figure out some kind of mitering situation. They're not even. I mean, that's and whoa, the haunt continues. And a lot of that is because one quarter molding is not the same size as the other. And so they're trying to like match up, but you know, not really. We also have like a lot of gaps. Look at that. All those gaps going on. But those, luckily, I think that we can use some filler and some spackle because I'm thinking of using spackle for our stone effect. And so before we add our stone effect, the last thing I'm going to do is just trim off some more of these vampires. And we can add, you know, start sealing all this stuff up and making it look, you know, like we meant to do it. And it might be easier to take a hammer and see if I can hammer some of these nails in. So I'll be right back. I'm going to run behind you guys. All right. Oh yes, mics, noise. So the nice thing is a lot of these start to go flush. All right. And there's a couple ones we have to cut off, but I'm going to hit a couple on this side. So, little noise. All right. Not exactly smooth, but I think we can live with it. So, let me see a couple stragglers on this side right here. that I see. See that little guy? He's just kind of poking through. So let me see if I can cut him with the most blunt cutters that I have. And just in case it goes flying, which it probably will, let me try my blue ones. Slightly less blunt. Slightly. There's one more. Shop vac is in order later today. All right, so I think I got all the vampires. You know, still have to be a little bit careful because, yeah, they're still out there. So this is kind of like what we ended up with. I think, you know, I'm still debating whether or not it was worth adding this outer piece here if I just made everything look, you know, much worse. But the one good thing is that if you look at the side, we do have a nice overhang here, which will be nice because we can build our shadow box and it kind of helps conceal the ugliness there. So it might end up, you know, working out. Heck, worse things have worked out for us before, way worse things. So I'm thinking we're good. So the next step now is to start adding our stone effect and spackling. Now normally, you know, I think I would use like a wood filler or something, but I think I'm gonna spackle because check this out. I started experimenting, like, how does one create a stone effect? Because most of my effects painting actually comes from painting miniatures and models. And so for those, all of the texture is usually in the model piece. So how do you add it if it's not there? And I know if I just coat it with white after, you know, fixing the imperfections, it's just gonna look like painted wood, you know? So we need to add some kind of very cool texture. So I thought about using like cat litter or, you know, anything that's sandy, salt or pepper, anything. But then I started messing around with the spackle and a paintbrush and just smacking it with the paintbrush. And check that out. It looks kind of like a nice cement, just a nice stone that you see on the cathedral windows. They're usually like the smooth cement, but obviously stone is never smooth. And these little porous areas that it's going to create is going to let us do some really cool painting highlights. Or so I tell you right now, you know, that all could change, you know, the way these things go. So let me see if I can pry this open. Oh, there we go. So this spackle is kind of old, you know, so it's one of the reasons I'm using it. And it goes on kind of pink and then it dries white, you know. So let me grab a spatula and see what we could do. All right. Normally I have everything I need like right here or right here, but not today. I'm like, oh, I forgot to prep this. I forgot to prep that, you know. But a spatula, yeah, this is not a spatula, but you guys know what I mean. So let's see how this is gonna go. And I'm gonna give you like first row seats to this horror show here. And I'm just gonna see if I can just fill in this gap. Just going like that. And pushing it in the gap. And hopefully, you know, it'll be pretty good. All right, not bad, guys. It's fixing my mistakes pretty well. Now PVC it is prone to expanding and contracting, but because we are using such small pieces and it's not outside, it's indoors, I don't think that's going to be a huge problem for us, of course, because spackle loves to crack, you know, but on second thought, that might add some really nice natural cracks in our piece over time if this thing does expand and contract to that degree. And I am completely off screen, so let's just back this on up too. That would help. That would help a lot. So And there is some unevenness, like sometimes the quarter round on one side is higher than the other. So I think this will just kind of help even everything out and make it look like, you know, we meant to do this. We meant to do it. And then I'm just gonna smooth it out as much as I can before we actually kind of rough it up again with our stone effect. And the fact that this thing is not super pink, the way that it used to go on, tells me that it probably wasn't sealed all that well when it was put away. So it's probably set up a bit, but it's working pretty well despite. Now, the funny part is going to be molding the corners, which I'm going to leave for last because I'm going to be thinking about that while I do this part as to how I'm going to do this, because spackle is not really like Play-Doh. It doesn't mold too well. Let me move this a little closer and move myself. Teleport myself. All right, spackly spack. All right, so okay, this project might have redeemed itself. It's not looking so bad. And if you don't have a big enough piece of plywood to cut a window, the other thought I had was using common wood and just cutting the legs, and then when it starts to bend, getting a fatter piece, you know, of white wood, you know, maybe like a, you know, 1 by 12 by 8, you know, and then cutting out the arches that way. I've seen people do that, and then use pocket holes, screws in the back to hold everything together. So that's perfectly doable as well. Here I go now, trying to fix this. I'm going to come back to that though. I'm going to come back to that because I think for that I might actually use my hands. And I'm not super concerned with getting this smooth. Heck, I'm not even going to sand it smooth because, you know, we're going to add our stone effect anyways. We don't want it to be smooth. I mean, obviously we don't want it to look like, dang, she spackled the crap out of that, because that was just super bad looking. You know, we're going to hide that effect. But I think if it just looks like it's old aging stone with cracks, couple imperfections, couple worn out spots, I think that'll work out in our favor. Let me just push more of that spackle inside these seams. And over spackling is a good thing because that'll just give us more to work with when it comes time for our stone effect. Like I did on this little test piece right here. Hopefully it'll come out just like that, because I did not test it on the PVC, but it looks like it's hanging on to it pretty well without having to rough it up or anything like that. So seems to be working out fine for now. And a couple more to go, a couple more gaps to fill in. Then I think we're ready to rock on our stone look. For that, I'm just going to go in with this brush or my hands, you know, whichever. Now spackle shrinks, so as we work we might have to fill in more gaps. But I think I want to add 2 coats for our stone effect at least, so that'll give us enough to kind of work with. All right, now let's address the elephant in the room, which is these horrible corners up here. This, which is like the most statement area of any arch window or arch cathedral ceiling, is that magnificent arch, and ours is quite less than magnificent. I'm gonna put this over here and then move myself. And wrong way. And we don't need this anymore. Let me eliminate a couple things. And see what we can do about this hideousness right here. All right. And I'm going to close up on this big old fail that we have going on here. Oh yeah, Look at that in all its glory. Can we go more? Oh, yes, we can go more on this hideousness. And let's see what we're going to do. Oh, I don't even know, guys. Let's start filling this one in. I'm going to start with this one. This is pretty bad. And yeah, I'm just going to go fingers, start to mold this thing. And I'm going to let it dry. And just keep adding spackle to it, you know, until we have our shape, I guess. Because that is not looking too good. All right, I'm going to leave that as is. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to fill it. And the worst thing with this one is that it's got a huge difference in, you know, I'm going to have to really build this one up. As the spackle dries, we'll continue our stone effect and we'll just keep coming back to this hideousness right here. It's like frosting. Frosting on a cake. It's pretty bad. Definitely don't want to hire me for like children's parties or anything, making cupcakes or anything, because look at my frosting skills right here. It's pretty bad. All right, but guys, if we could make this work and disguise it, only we will know how absolutely awful this thing was looking in the beginning. All right, I'm just gonna let that dry for now and let that hideousness become less hideous. Hopefully, you know, that's the goal. Hopefully it'll become less hideous. And I'm gonna just see a couple more areas here where I can spackle. Let me just back you guys on up and move myself. And I see some gaps here that we can I'm just using my fingers and just kind of filling in. And I think once we add our stone effect, this will look pretty good. As I keep telling myself that, it'll look good. We got it. Yeah. Don't mind it right now. Yeah, it looks like a complete poop. But we're gonna polish this poop. We're gonna polish it but good. It's gonna be a diamond poop by the time we're done with it. If it's one thing I know how to do well, is turn poop projects into less poop projects. Only slightly poopy in the end. All right. And, oh, that's a reverse gap. And I don't need you guys. I'm going to move you before you get spackled up. All right. And this is so much easier than using the all plastic. Just gets right on in there. All right, so I think we can start adding our stone effect. And if it looks like it's just screwing with our surface, we'll just wait till this dries just a little bit more. And my task for tomorrow will be to get this all primed up so we can paint it and see how that ends up looking. All right. I'm hitting the zone of you guys cannot see right here with myself, but you get the idea. All right, so I am going to grab some paper towels over there before I start getting this stuff on myself. All right. One good thing of a small shop is that everything's pretty reachable. You know, it's all within reach, you know? Not a giant warehouse. All right, it looks like we are back. No more buffering, which is good. It's all good. All right. So And again, you guys have yourselves to thank for this, with all of your ideas and all that, saying, hey, I think doing the little LCD display is going to be way too small. You were right, though. I'm not going to lie. So here I am. I'm beginning to add the first coat of this, and I'm trying to just make it as rough as possible. And let's see if I move myself and then move this. Which way am I going? Which one am I going? This way. Actually, I'm just going to turn this around. Make our lives a ton easier. There we go. And I'm using an old brush that I really don't care what happens to it. It's perfect for projects like this. And I'm going to go in with one coat, let it dry, and then later come back and do another coat. But this will give us an idea of whether or not this thing is even going to work. This whole effect, because it looks good on a tiny little block, which it always does, but then when you try and do the effect on something bigger, then it looks bad, So we'll see. But I think that this is like given a nice stony, cementy type texture that we can dry brush on top. Base coat, and I think I'm going to do a base coat of white, to make it look like old castle, and then we'll grunge it up with some diluted black paint, the typicals, a couple browns, a couple greens, because stone is not just varying shades of white and gray. It's got all kinds of colors in there, so I might experiment a little and see what works, and then we'll see if we end up liking this window frame, and then we'll start building the rest of the shadow box component to it. And I'm still debating whether to use the picture frames that I have downstairs, as our old window pane glass, or if I should just go out and buy a quick acrylic, and then cut that. And that'll be an adventure, cutting some acrylic. See how that turns out. So moving on, and let me back on up, because we are done looking at the horrible arch that is there. So I'm going to let that completely dry before I mess with that. But this is looking pretty good. I'm envisioning it, completed, and I think it'll look pretty good, especially with a nice second coat on it. And it's sticking okay to the PVC. Could use a little help. And all those markings are looking pretty good. And you know what? That gap is actually looking like a raised edge, like it's supposed to be there. So I don't know. This might be turning in our favor, actually. Look, there's nice giant gloops of this stuff. Let me see if I can gloop it. Here, gloop, 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 gloop. That's the sound effect it makes when it goes on, just so you guys know, just in case you were wondering. Oh, and I'm getting it all myself. So, getting this thing done and prepped for tomorrow. And hopefully I got all the paints I need. If not, I'm going to be running out tonight. So luckily, this is not, we won't have to really go outside. I'm going to go ahead and cut the backing, because you guys saw how the arch is cut. It's just basically repeating the exact same thing. And I'm going to cut the window frame for it out of 1/4-inch plywood. So again, I think that's kind of nothing to see. That way, if it's all cut out, we can paint all of it tomorrow together. And depending on how you signed up, just check the website, check Discord, And on social media, I'll be posting anyways. It'll be it too. You know, the typical, unless something, you know, unforeseen happens. And we can start painting. So we're going to have to channel our Bob Ross, our major Bob Ross going on. And I think that's looking pretty good. Today is going off camera, where you guys can't see everything. You can see nothing. Here we go. A little bit easier. So what I'm doing is getting this first layer mostly on the PVC and not so much on the wood, and I'm gonna let that just kind of dry. And this is like super loud, I know. I'll talk over it. And once the PVC is done, I'm gonna come back later today and hit it back up again with our other layer of stone, and we should be good. Giving our little stone effect with my cheap brush, and I'm thinking that is looking pretty good. I'm just going to hit up the wood portion just a little bit more. And the wood portion doesn't need as much going on as the rest of our piece. That is pretty good. I'm going to gently do these corners right here. And let me just run my hand over it so it's not, I'm going to grab these excess gloops and put them in my brush and put them over here. Just transplanting them. There we go. And we should barely be able to see all of the brad nails by the time I add that second coat. So I think I'm going to leave it here because this definitely needs to dry, because I'm more moving it around than I am applying a whole new coat or layer, you know, however it is in spackle. And let it shrink up. That way I'm sure that all of these seams are still holding up pretty well before I add that second layer or coat. But I got my task out for me. You guys have your task. Come up with some ideas for this. You know, perhaps overnight you're like, oh man, we should have done this, or there's still time to do something to, you know, unmess this up. But I think it's moving now in the right direction. At first, like Project Start, it was kind of like, oh, we gotta save this, we gotta save this. So now we've plateaued. And I think tomorrow, depending on how the paint job goes, you know, we can bring it all the way back to 100%. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And I got my work cut out for me tonight. Second coat, lay a base coat, get everything ready for our Bob Ross paint-a-thon session tomorrow. So I'll catch you guys later. Have a great rest of the day.